Live from the Palos Verdes High School Broadcast Center, this is Live from 205.
There were approximately 18,000 Jews in that city, and they trucked us to a cemetery.
The Holocaust lies 60 years in the past, but for those who lived through it, it will never be forgotten. First-hand accounts are becoming increasingly difficult to find, but one survivor shared his experience with Live from 205 in an exclusive interview. Good morning, Sea Kings. I'm Catherine Cheney.
And I'm Lisa Baragosh.
We'll have that story later on in the show. And Live from 205 has been previewing this story for a while. Today, you will finally see the incredible story of a Holocaust survivor on the Hill. The Holocaust devastated the Jewish population and killed many innocent people. Although the Holocaust ended 60 years ago, it is important that we never forget this tragic time. Robert Jeminder, a well-known figure on the Hill, wants to make sure that all those who suffered are remembered. I sat down with Jeminder, who shared with me his amazing story.
A little humorous story, we kind of escaped from the ghetto, and the way we escaped was...
You may recognize this familiar face. Robert Jeminder is a substitute teacher for our school district. But what you may not realize is that there is more to this man than what meets the eye. Robert Jeminder overcame the grim odds and lived through the most horrible conditions imaginable as a Holocaust survivor. I met with Mr. Jeminder in his synagogue, where he shared with me his fascinating story of fear, courage, and luck, and how he managed to make it through one of the darkest times in history. Born in Poland in 1935, Robert Jeminder was raised in a wealthy environment with toys, a bicycle, and even a governess. But one day in 1939, at just 4 years of age, Jeminder's world was turned upside down by the command of German visitors at his doorstep. Taking only what they could carry in their own hands, the Jeminders trekked across Europe in hopes of reaching Russia. During this time, the Jeminder boys lost their father, who died from a stress-induced heart attack during the Blitzkrieg bombing. The family was captured by the German enemy, a day Jeminder describes as the most horrific of his Holocaust experience.
They had all the Jews come to the center of town. They just wanted all the Jews. There were approximately 18,000 Jews in that city. And they trucked us to a cemetery, a Jewish cemetery, a very large Jewish cemetery. And that day, this is like the next day after they took over, they shot 12,000 Jewish people, just in mass graves. There was a guy sitting there with a machine gun, actually, and eating a ham sandwich or whatever. You know, we would, of course, didn't have anything all day, no water, no nothing, and killing all these people. The beginning and the most horrible day, really, to see all this happen.
Jeminder was moved to a ghetto along with the remaining 6,000 Jewish people. He shared an apartment with many families, sacrificing all luxury and privacy to this new life. The Jeminders knew they had to find a way out.
There were a lot of rumors flying around that they were going to kill everybody in the ghetto, and they did kill most of the people. Every day there were killings in the ghetto. I mean, I would walk through the ghetto and see people hung from telephone poles, babies up against the wall. I mean, the fear of death and the fear of the moment, you do things that, even kids do things that you just don't expect to be done. I walked under my mother's skirt, and my brother walked under her girlfriend's skirt as they walked out of this ghetto to work. And she put us into a closet all day. We hid there all day. In the evening, she got us and we escaped.
The family of 3 did whatever they could to make ends meet, including making cigarettes and even stealing farm vegetables. The Jeminder boys had to constantly make sure to keep their religion and their nationality a secret. When the family was in Warsaw, Jeminder's mother kept calm and made a decision that saved her boys from death in Auschwitz.
We're all shipped to concentration camp to Auschwitz. Okay. And my mother very cleverly held us back. Everybody was rushing to kind of get on the trains. There was a lot of commotion. She finally saw a train with an open car, open top. So we rushed into that car to be in an open car. I was the smallest and the lightest, so I was lifted up over the top of the train. I was able to open the doors, you know, a metal door, and we jumped out and ran away. So we never made it inside Auschwitz, thank goodness.
Jeminder still remembers the emotional end of the Holocaust as the United States and Russia came to the rescue.
Every piece of equipment I saw The Russians worked like tanks and artillery as they were coming through. Every piece of equipment had on it, made in the USA, made in the USA.
The Jeminder family made it to American West Germany and survived with the help of the United Nations Displaced People Camps for 4 years. Jeminder soon moved to Pittsburgh, where he was free to learn and practice his religion openly. The Holocaust exterminated 6 million Jewish people, half of the Jewish race. 11 million innocent civilians died. But thankfully, Jeminder survived and now spreads his story to make sure that the Holocaust will never be forgotten, and so that nothing like this will ever happen again.
I just feel very lucky. I feel like really lucky that I made it. And unfortunately, every time I think about that, I think about my grandma, my grandpa, my aunts, my uncles, and so on and so on and so on, who did not make it. I mean, nobody from my family made it, except 3 of us. My brother and my mother and I, and we had a very large family. So, you know, there's always sadness in that, unfortunately, when I think back on it, you know. But proud, I don't know if I'm proud. I'm happy that I'm here, and I'm happy I can talk about it.
That truly is an amazing story. Because Jeminder experienced the Holocaust as a child, he is one of the youngest survivors. What is so inspirational about Jeminder is that even after suffering so much hardship, he lives with optimism and pushes himself and others to grow and learn. Jeminder was recently accepted to Loyola Marymount University, where he will get his credential to become a full-time math teacher. He also hopes to publish his book honoring his heroic mother.
Wow, Kathy, that was a very touching story.
Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, he really is an amazing guy, and if you have him as a substitute, be sure to talk to him because he has some great stories to share.